So, welcome to the Dallas Fort Worth Inaugural Slack meeting. And what we're here to do is discuss a little bit about the idea, the genesis of it, where we're trying to take it, and what you're interested in. I'm not here for me, we're here for you. So, we want to figure out what it is we want to do. And to that end, I have a fun little poll, which we'll do. And Slack has been kind to give us some fun stickers and things as swag. So, we have some swag giveaways as well. And all I'll need you to do is, well, I'll pick people from this, but we'll end up sending some swag out to some folks, and I'll just get your information after the fact. So easiest thing to do is to join us on the Slack channel. You can go to the Slack community, and I can point that out to you too as well. It is right here, slackcommunity.com, and you can actually see us. If you RSVP'd, this is us. And what you're looking to do is simply join that community. It lets you then get into Slack. So I'm a volunteer. And so I work for IBM, and I get to travel the world when we're traveling, and it's kind of fun doing what I do. But what I wanted to do was figure out, how do I meet with people who are also interested in Slack? And there's a lot of different interests from what I've found, for people that want to develop apps against Slack, people that just want to use it for fun, and that people just want to meet others who are also in their boat of going, how do we figure out getting out of pure email? And so this is what we've done. We've come together to try to figure out, how do we do that in a local way? So Dallas Fort Worth is a huge, massive area, and it's way too big for us all to meet in one location, and we know that. A little bit about me, I'll put on the screen just for a second. But the idea was for today, just to kick off and see what the interest is, and then say, okay, where we live, what parts of the Metroplex are we in, and who would like to meet where. We would like to do that virtual, in person, or both, because of the Rona, right? So that there's lots of things that we can do to figure that out together. And that's what we're going to do today. So that's kind of the agenda. And I'll just go quickly through this. Slack has this community idea where their vision, right, is there on the left-hand side of the screen. This is theirs. And they came and said, would you be willing? And I said, yeah, I think this would be a fun thing to do. I know a lot of people that use it in Dallas Fort Worth, so it'd be great to build a community. What we wanted to do is three things specifically. As an overall group for all of Dallas Fort Worth, we want to have relational connection, so meaningful connection with people, so that you get to know folks, and it's not just a thing where people are just trying to network to hit you up for business, which means, number two, networking without pitching. We really, if you've been to the networking meetup things when it's like an all bros thing, it's just not fun. So we don't want to do one of those. And then the third is the sharing generously. I think it's best and you probably experience this, it's better to give than receive. It's great, though, when you can receive from people who have something really great to give. And there's some really smart people here. So figure we can come together and find a way to do this. So it's this high level view. This is the big idea. But because the Metroplex is so huge, the idea then is to go, okay, where are we? And I'm going to run a poll in a second here, but it's likely that we're going to have smaller areas of meetups, especially when it comes to meeting in person. So if you're in North Dallas, you probably don't want to go to South Fort Worth for a meeting. Am I right? And if you're in McKinney, you probably don't want to go down to Euless. So like there's this hugeness. We need to say generally these are areas. And so with that in mind, let me get the poll going, and I will bring that up here. Okay, Cisco, WebEx. I lost my poll, so 1 second while I grab that. Like I said, it's just me. I don't have an assistant today helping out, so me, myself, and I are a little bit limited sometimes. Okay. To resize this. Sorry, I'm having an issue with it. Huh. It's odd. Normally, this is not a problem, but I'm having a problem right now with it. So let me see if I can get back to this section. Let me stop sharing, and maybe that'll help me do it.
On the
Thumbs up.
right.
All right. Great. Go ahead and feel free to start answering then. We've got 22 people in here so far. So just go ahead and go through them. The first one is, which part of DFW is home to you? And we did this based on the counties, because if I started listing cities, it would be like forever. So we just wanted to figure out which county you're in. And this gives us kind of an idea of which general part of the Metroplex we have the participation coming from. So if you would go ahead and answer that, or if it's somewhere outside of those three counties, go ahead and do that. The second one is, which of these areas of interest do you have? And we We talked about this and came up with really there's 4 things that we generally find in the community space around Slack is what I've understood. And so we said these are the ones that normally pop up, but we also included an other just in case that's something for you that is, applies. And then we have some swag cues. So what we would like to do here is this is part of how we just have fun and give stuff away because everybody loves swag. First one is what has been the population increase of DFW since 2010? Which one do you think that is? Go ahead and answer that. And I'm using Dallas Morning News. Don't Google it, but Dallas Morning News is where I got my data for on that. The next one is, would you prefer to simply join a local versus virtual versus both, either or? You can answer there. And then would you prefer to simply join a local community or lead one? The reason we're asking that one is because the Metroplex is so big and there's just one of me and people don't scale. We're going to want area facilitators, area leaders. I'm really hoping for a plurality of leaders to come through this. And what we wanted to do was build a way for us to enable that community, not control the community. Just want to give it away and find the people who would be willing to facilitate the areas. So if that's you, you can raise your hand and let us know. And then finally, would you prefer the virtual and personal both? You can answer that one. So if you're about done with that, I think we're just about done. Let's get some good answers here. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll in a second. And great. All right. 26 of 27 responded, and I will make sure to get that out. All right. And I'm sure what it's doing. It's not letting me pop back into that. All right. Let me go back to sharing a screen one more time. And again, it's just being myself and I. So thanks for the grace on this. This is going to be the most central place in all of the Metroplex. If you look at a map, Grapevine is about dead center. And so we're looking at doing that. That's going to be October 7th. So I'll correct that. Then we wanted to say, okay, we can start doing the meetups regionally or kind of like by area after that was the thinking. And again, these are just speculative dates, but we could do a virtual one and then we could start seeing who wants to show up and do something local. Because again, it's too big to have one big, huge group, but we have to start somewhere. And this is kind of the thinking is that by mid-November, it seems reasonable we might have identified some of those leaders, had some locations figured out for people that want to meet locally, and then we can also have virtual and or hybrid meetings. So that's kind of the basic gist of where we're starting. And then of course, the key, once you go through the website and get to the Slack channel, you can use your Slack app to join this channel. And you'll be able to join the entire Slack community, of course, but this particular one will be for us. And then as needed, we can do other channels if we wanted to do by area, but we're starting here. All right. That's kind of the quick overview. I know that's a lot and I'm apologize for the technical difficulties on my end, but curious to hear your thoughts and what you're hoping out of community, a Slack community in Dallas Fort Worth. So feel free to open your mic and jump in.
Hi there.
What are you looking for?
Christina Morin. I'm with Pole Source. I'm also the leader of the Frisco Salesforce Women in Tech Community Group. And I don't really want to lead a group, but I would be interested in having someone come speak sometime until I learn more about, everything that Slack has to offer. And I don't feel like I would be, a great leader until I have a strong, I use Slack, but I don't know all of its capabilities. So I would love to have somebody come speak sometime.
Absolutely. Well, who else here wants to speak up? What are you looking for? What are you hoping
I can
for?
mention something. So I also come from the tech space, and I work with a company that leverages a fleet of drivers. So there's a lot of drivers that we add to the platform, right? Because we have our internal team and then external. And I've just noticed, some people are more tech savvy than others, and there's just challenges with us, right? Like even explain things like a direct message versus start a thread. Just figuring out like ways where we can make communication a little more efficient. I know Slack has, a lot of great features to offer, but my biggest interest has been like, has anyone faced like similar struggles, right? When having to communicate with such a large group, like 100 plus people, right, on a daily basis, whether they're interacting with the engineers, talking about tech issues they're experiencing in the vehicles, or just asking my team about the latest package, that should be ready for them to pick up, things like that, right? So I work in operations, and I know communication is really key with making operations run smoothly. So
You're right.
that's why I was really curious about joining this meeting or meetup, I guess.
Well, I think we would all echo that communications is part of the challenge we have in every area of every business, and both internal communications and external communications. One of the newer features of Slack is being able to bring vendors or outside people, even clients, into a Slack channel and have conversation. For a lot of the Slack users, that's possible. If you work for an enterprise, that may be turned off by your enterprise, but it's the abilities are remarkable. Slack really has been a game changer. So yeah, I love hearing that communication wins, right? It's like culture. Culture always wins. If you have a really healthy, dynamic, awesome culture, that wins. If you have a toxic, fear-based culture, that wins. So your communication often mirrors what your organization's hierarchy is set up like. And there's a whole law around that. But at any rate, it's super fun. I can get super geeky around that stuff. Anybody else want to speak in about what you're looking for as part of a Slack local user group?
Hey there.
Hi.
I have worked with a couple companies that predominantly use communications through Slack, although I'm recent to a new company, or I'm new to the company where it's internationally based out of Amsterdam. So I have the honor of communicating with a lot of different people. There are a lot of different, time zones. So my goal is I would love to integrate more with all of these individuals in a little bit more of a personable manner. And I'm just really intrigued about how Slack can do that, and just better moderating between different channels, and between tech and operators, et cetera. So I just figured joining this would give me better access of doing that.
That's awesome. Anybody else who would like to speak up?
I guess I would like to see like pain points that other people have with Slack, and maybe be able to pass that on to Slack as suggestions of things to add into the system. So
Anybody else resonate with that one? Thumbs up on that one. I would imagine a few would. All right. Who else? I can call on names, but I'd rather you just open your mic and talk.
I work in marketing, specifically.
Hi, Ruth.
Hi, everybody. Specifically launch marketing. And so I'm interested in connecting with other people in that space who are using Slack. My role is project manager, and I have client facing roles. And we're also starting to integrate those shared Slack channels with our clients. So any way that we can do that better and make it a smooth process for our clients, I'm definitely interested to learn more.
Awesome.
My name is David. Sorry.
Hi, David.
Hey.
Go ahead.
So my company uses Slack really heavily. We do like live virtual events and hybrid events, and we also use Salesforce. So I'm kind of curious to see, what's on the horizon with the Salesforce and Slack integration, and how that's going to change our workflow.
Totally. And before the next person goes, let me just point out that one of the cool things since Salesforce bought Slack, in the forums, when you join up, you actually get to connect with the people at Slack who talk openly and frequently about what's going on with Salesforce. So it's a great behind the scenes channel. So that's a benefit of joining, right? You get that kind of access. The other thing you get is sometimes they'll throw in, and it's happened recently, some early invites to some conversations with the developers and the product owners. So if you want to see stuff before anybody else, it's another good reason. And then the third thing they did is they were talking about the breakouts that are going to be happening at Dreamforce, which is Salesforce's big conference, and the things that you're going to see related to Slack. So it's a really great way to stay on top of things just by joining the community. So that's one of the benefits. Who was next? Go ahead.
I own a law firm here in North Dallas, and we started integrating a lot with our clients, having them use shared channels with us to discuss their matters. And a big pain point we've noticed is everybody wants to be able to do taskings, task management, and project management within Slack instead of having to go outside and using an integration like Asana or ClickUp. So I guess I'm joining to see how other people are addressing that issue and finding ways to build your project management or matter management directly into Slack as opposed to having to go outside to a third party.
Mm. Yeah, there is an entire channel or set of channels inside the Slack community when you join that are for developers. So if you want to actually go see that, it's probably right up your code loving alley. So, all right, anybody else? Yeah, someone saw Sarah posted, how do you join this SC Dallas Fort Worth chapter? If you go to the slackcommunity.com and you go to find a group, you'll find the Dallas Fort Worth, and you're in there. There is a link to join the Slack community. Thank you for that. And that gives you the ability to join into the Slack community itself using your Slack app.